I'm gonna do
You
one
did.
too.
Yes.
As
See?
did I. Thanks for sharing links.
I usually get it done much earlier in the day. It's like, well, that was a random like flash of light from my computer. Is it taking pictures of me now?
Maybe.
It's got to be, I wanted to say the IRS.
God, I hope not.
Okay, Sam, it's counting us in. But I hope that my screen's not taking pictures of me for the IRS. I wanted to say like the CIA, but I think it's very clear which one scares me more.
I mean, the CIA wouldn't have anything to do with you unless you're international. It's the FBI you got to worry about.
Look,
Yeah.
feds are feds, all right?
I don't know. I ain't worried about the I'm not worried about the FBI because like they're just gonna sit there and kind of like collect a paycheck for a little bit. But if it's the IRS, dude, they will
collect your paycheck.
They steal your paycheck. They're like, nah. You see that? Like that the whole $200 you make. It would be a shame if someone were to tax all of that. And
taxes are the biggest scam, bro.
Happen to that.
They really like scammed all of us into agreeing with taxes.
Dude, I saw this thing like I forget when it was, but they were hiring like a few thousand people for the IRS with guns. I'm like, no, they're gonna bust down my door and take all my D&D books because I didn't report them on my taxes.
Oh god,
they're gonna take our tabletops and our minis, Sam.
Oh my god,
not the minis.
Prophecy. This is how they start the new world
leave me
order.
my tax-deductible sound padding.
This is
the Illuminati's real plan is working through Wild Wizard of the Coast.
I wonder how tax-deductible child labor is. Like, if I have my children, stack my bookshelf with all my books, is that tax-deductible?
Look, if Minecraft
the fact that they're your dependents helps a lot.
Excellent.
If Minecraft
That's why I got 4 of
anything. Is that the children yearn for the mines?
You gotta get
lost
done.
mines of
Phandelver. Still small. We've all seen the Rescuers, I presume.
Yes. That's the
going
one.
for the tiniest, most sad of the orphans to go into the tiny, tiny cavern. God, that movie gave me chills.
And honestly, it's a solid plot hook for any campaign. Whether you're running Interstellar, Inter-Realms, or just a run-of-the-mill backwater town, the children have gone missing, and we need them to work our mines. Like,
it's good enough for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's good enough for me.
What a great start to this episode.
Dude, I love the idea of you could give your players the moral quandary of they were hired to find these children, and when they finally bring the children back to the town, it's back to the mines for the kids.
No, we're trying to free them from the mines, from the terrible soul-crushing labor.
So we do not agree with child labor here.
No, emphatically not.
Ryan, why don't we go ahead and start the show?
Well, I'm not Chinese, so I can't endorse child labor. No! Welcome to Dungeons and Talk Shows, the talk show that brings you dungeons, children, and homebrews. I am your host, Orion.
Unfortunately, I'm host, Sam.
Hi, and I'm their guest, Casey Jones. Nice to be here.
I'm sorry.
For the record, Dungeons and Talk Shows does not endorse child labor. We do, however, find it, if it's in your campaign, hilarious, but your players do have a sworn oath or duty, assuming they are good, aligned, or neutral, to do something about it, because children should be, doing children things, like losing to each other at kickball.
As long as I got the child union, I'm sure it's fine.
You know what? I'll give it to you. Child unions. We need recess,
really
buddy.
Think that's what they meant when they said no child left behind.
Yeah, exactly.
So Bush knew what he was talking about. Child unions. Bush was a big supporter of child unions.
All this talk about mines and stuff is reminding me of, like, have you heard about that guy? Hold on, give me 1 second. What was his name? The guy who got stuck in the Nutty Putty cave.
The what?
Have you heard about that?
That
John
sounds like a
Edward
euphemism
Jones.
for something.
It's not, I promise. John
Did he
Edward
write out an
Jones.
apocalypse log and then stick it against the Nutty Putty to make a print?
Man, if
Oh,
only.
that's brilliant.
He did that kind of, but with his face and body. So, like, he was a spelunker in, like, 2009, I think. And he, was spelunking. And he was kind of famous for getting stuck, like, face down.
Did he die?
Perfect.
Oh, hold on. I got a perfect picture to demonstrate this. There you go. This is how this man ended up.
Oh, that poor man.
And that's just what made that think.
He just went into his cave one day and just got stuck.
That's what a way.
I mean, we all hope that we are immortalized in some way. We hope it is not in Nutty Putty.
There
are
a different breed. Honestly,
I would say so. Having that urge to go deep down, hoping that you stumble upon the Underdark or some sexy drow ladies, and avoid any spider goddesses along the way.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Man.
He's cooking.
See, there's a homebrew monster idea right there. Instead of gelatinous cube, you have your Nutty Putty cube.
The Nutty Putty.
It doesn't
know
dissolve
why
the things. It just grabs them and suffocates them.
It can just hold images of things. Just like it presses up against something, and then now it holds that image. So it's
oh my God, that's awful.
That's ultimate camouflage. Like
10,000 years from now, they just
like,
find it. It's just a face.
Ropers and gelatinous cubes, step aside. The Nutty Buddy is here.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
I gotta write this one down right here. Putty monster.
There's a lot of, like, scenarios that people put in their D&D games, where it's like, it's not just a threat you gotta fight, you gotta work your way out of this situation. Being trapped in a hole is horrifying.
Not a good place to be.
Oh my God. How many times, like, do you think your character would make it out of that situation? Like,
I don't know.
That's a really good question. Like, it depends on the roles, honestly.
Yeah.
We need those math rocks to be on our
having
side.
like a cave-in is disastrous. That's a TKO right there.
It could be. I mean, the last character I played would have had zero problem because she's all about moving earth with magics and stuff. But if you have like a party that doesn't have that kind of a magic, okay, but forget about it. Toss that shit out the window. Cave-ins are a dangerous thing. You got stalactites and stalagmites. Don't ask me which is which.
I think
stalactites stick down, stalagmites stick up.
Yeah. There's like a rhyme.
The mnemonic is that the points of the M of stalagmite is how you remember that they point up, and the T pointing down of stalactite is how you remember that stalactites are from the ceiling pointing down.
Smart.
Mnemonics.
I do love a good mnemonic device.
See, people, you do learn things at this show.
And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right. So
we were trapped in a cave-in, and I was pinned under several pounds of stalactite, not stalagmite.
Get it right, God damn it.
That is the kind of pedantic I expect from a D&D player.
What's the consistency of this cave? Is it like a Nutty Putty?
Oh, man. Nutty Putty's pretty bad, but we've also thrown heinous combustion and hot spots at players. And in mines, they were sent underground to dig not for gold, but for garbage, and encountered like charred bones, blasted out wagons that were burnt to a crisp, the shadows of someone spread against
like a
the wall where
nuclear
they
blast type deal. Oh,
well, I mean, like just a flash fry, someone
right.
goes up like a Roman candle all of a sudden. That's all they wrote.
They should have brought some canaries.
We did. That was actually a plot point. They have canaries that go with them. They can pick them up at the dry goods store, Walton Dry Goods.
You can pick up some canaries for your travels. We got canaries in stock.
We do.
Pet stores are not something that you hear about in your D&D games.
I need more pet stores.
I mean, it was more of a general store, but canaries and everything
like a
else
Trader
that a miner
Joe's.
would need.
Tractor supplies.
Damn it.
Well, I got to keep my wife away from the Tractor Supply. Every season in springtime, they bust out all these little chickens and ducks. I'm like, no, stay away. They're too adorable. We can't take any more.
Oh my God, I started getting can I get a goose text from my girlfriend yesterday.
That's where it starts, dude.
Geese are just evil.
Like, what?
Why? That's your first warning. But I mean, geese are just unpleasant. Like they leave their crap everywhere. Like, good Lord. The college I went to had a pond that was basically just taken over by a gang of geese. So you basically had just to watch your step wherever you went. And geese hiss. I don't know if you've ever actually seen a goose hiss at someone, but when their beak opens up and that little tongue comes out, it's just dreadful. Horrifying.
I've known people that have had guard gooses that attack people. The guard goose is straight a real thing, Sam. But before we get too off the rails on that, Casey, please tell our listeners what it is you do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Casey Jones. I am an author and a voice actor and the host of, there's a cat here, the host of Anywhere But Now, a Doctor Who actual play podcast. We use music from the wonderful Tabletop Audio. Shout out to Tim. His are absolutely amazing. But sound effects from the show, maps I draw myself, and put a new Time Lord in a new TARDIS with new companions and shoot them off to somewhere in the galaxy, based on the idea that it's more fun to play someone who has not done these things 50,000 times already, like the Doctor, instead someone facing the Daleks for the first time and not knowing what to do and having to figure out their own ways to use their sonic devices and things like that. I also run The Joy of GMing, a lovely podcast interviewing creatives like yourself. We've had game writers on, a scholar who has written about Critical Role professionally, and other game creators. We had a colorist from the Titan run of Doctor Who comics on with us a couple of weeks ago. And we've got another episode of The Joy of GMing coming out Sunday morning at 9.
That's awesome.
Yay.
I'll have to check
that
out.
Cool. I am probably the biggest, I'm completely ignorant to anything Doctor Who, honestly.
It's one of my absolute favorite shows. It's my favorite game to run. And on startplaying.games, I run games of Doctor Who for new players as well as Curse of Strahd, because I'm a sucker for horror, which I think is the reason I'm here today.
Makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Doctor Who is it's one of those. It's well known for creating some of the most terrifying and iconic monsters in modern media.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even I know that.
Part of the public consciousness, at least in the UK, is those hide behind the sofa bits. When the Daleks come rolling out of the smoke, or the Cybermen come marching out, or God knows what other kind of monsters they're dealing with that week. Like, kids at home used to hide behind the sofa and just peek their eyes out and then hide because the things were so scary. Or creepy. One of the most incredible things Doctor Who does is take something completely innocuous and harmless and kill you. And now you will never look at that thing again. They actually got in trouble for that in the 70s because the police of the UK were like, if you're going to make mannequins and things scary, can you please not put them in police uniforms? We want kids to be able to trust the police to come and talk to them and not go, oh, wait, it might be a Nestine consciousness thing. So like they do a great job of making you scared out of your mind of things that you should or should not be scared out of your mind about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've loved watching Doctor Who for a long time. I'm not really I'm not a old head about it where I've only seen like maybe a couple of the older episodes, like back when it was all black and white, some of the earlier Doctors. So I'm more of a, Matt Smith, David Tennant kind of guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like as someone who grew up on classic Who, but wasn't obsessed with it, like I feel like I'm at the right level of fandom where like, yeah, I could probably, answer the classics, well, who was in this episode quiz, etc. But I'm not so precious about it. That's like, no, you can't have this show. It's mine. That kind of fandom has never appealed to me.
Right.
But yeah, New Who with Russell T Davies and oh god, who else has been a showrunner? Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall, less so. But like Stephen Moffat's run on New Who was some of the scariest stuff out there, and he was the one that came up with the Weeping Angels.
Oh, I didn't know there was a New Who, like a remake.
Well, versus classic Who that ran up to the 80s to New Who, starting with Chris Eccleston when that started off 15, 16, 17 years ago now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I remember watching a few of those episodes because I was like, okay, finally, I gotta check it out because I've known all these guys that they grew up watching it. They said it's great. I'll give it a chance. And, it's one of those things that it does live up to the hype. But I will never forget the first time I encountered some Doctor Who nerds when I went to college. And one of them had this little sonic screwdriver. And I was half convinced that this was some kind of fantastic technology that could actually unscrew things using sonic vibrations. And I was so excited. I'm like, I gotta know how this works. Unscrew something, please. I want to see this. And if I know it's just a prop. Y'all fucking with my emotions, okay?
Expectation's a powerful thing.
That's why I lowered mine.
Never should have had them in the first place.
Expectations are dangerous for your health.
They are. Hopes can be wonderful. I moved to Los Angeles about 5.5 years ago and traveled light. Came out here with a pair of suitcases packed tight, and one of the things in them was a bandolier of all of the toy replicas of the sonic screwdrivers from the second Doctor on all the way down, because those and they make the noises, and
that's cool.
I still have to change the batteries from time to time, but I love a good prop replica too. Those are a lot of fun.
Definitely something to appreciate for sure. I'd love to see someone design a little 3D printed sonic screwdriver prop, and then just slide it out. Boom! All your dice.
That's not bad. Yeah, no, that's not bad at all. Yeah, like a riff on that dagger shaped. The dagger shaped dice container. That would be really fun.
Exactly,
really cool.
And honestly, it doesn't even have to be as bulky because dice objectively aren't even that big. Like I'm just looking at some of my dice right here on the table. It's like that's really that's really not.
You know what that makes me think of? If you've seen what's it called? Guardians, the movie with like Jack Frost and Santa and stuff.
Oh, Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah. I love that movie, by the way. But you remember the capsules that they had the teeth in? That's like exactly what I'm picturing. Like
Okay,
there's a
okay.
little like thing, and you crack, like you open it, and it like has a little space in the middle. You can fit
Mm.
dice
Yeah,
in there.
I'm thinking
Good.
like I've seen these little tubular things that they sell over at Bull Moose, and they'll have just like 8 dice all stacked like one on top of the other with like pen shape.
Right? Yeah.
If you just use that as your core, and then just 3D printed a thing to go around it, just boom, slide it right in.
Yeah.
That easy.
I'm still a sucker for like a little felt bag,
Yeah.
like I keep laundry quarters in one of those because who doesn't love the high fantasy of, well, all of my money jingles and jangles
Yeah.
in this little felt
Little
purse,
coin
you
purse.
know?
Little
And
coin
like the
pouch.
dice, I also like the clackety clackety in the inside the bag,
Same,
for
same.
easy travel.
Dude, when I
I
had like
just
my metal dice, I
yeah.
loved having them in the bag.
Yeah, my brother recently just gave me a peach Crown Royal bag for some dice this past weekend.
Oh
So
That's
I'm
hell
like,
yeah.
exactly, yeah, about that size.
Perfect.
Crown Royal, they really need to start doing good marketing. Like, let people know that you're selling dice bags that come with an entire bottle of booze.
Yeah, man. What the heck? It's free market.
Put your favorite dice in this bag. Also may contain cognac.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
What
I
every
put to,
D&D party needs.
I put together a very shitty video months ago of me doing an unboxing with a thing of Crown Royal. Be like, okay, we're going to review this Crown Royal dice bag. Oh, what's this? Some apple flavored whiskey? Well,
Delicious.
that's perfect. My players drive me to drink all the time.
Yeah. How did they know?
The perfect gift for your DM this Christmas season. Crown Royal. Sponsor the show, Crown.
Imagine our first sponsor is Crown Royal.
Dude, I'd be the happiest you've ever seen me if that were the case.
Dude, I love Jack Daniels. Please.
More power to you.
Does Jack do
I
bags?
haven't touched a drop of alcohol in about 5 years and have not looked back. Cannabis, which is lovely and legal, is one of my ways to relax, but more whiskey for you fine folks.
Yeah, I'm not a big drinker, but I do enjoy, Jack every now and then. Shout out to moderation.
Yeah.
Shout out to moderation.
Honestly, I feel like I could be the poster child for
a little
moderation.
bit at a time.
Yeah. Enough
Just a little bit. Just enough to get you there, but not so much that you black out. Moderation.
It's like that meme where it's like the guy standing in the corner. They have no idea I'm fucked up. They're like, your eyes are literally closed. Like,
I swear. But damn.
Oh man.
So I've seen the Doctor Who books before. I had a friend that had one of those books just lying around. I'm like, dude, how do you play this? Like, what keeps everybody from just saying, I'm the Time Lord? No, I'm the Time Lord. The whole party is Time Lords.
Cooperation, basically. With Doctor Who, the game and the show, the Time Lord in question, who's the title character, tends to be the driving force of what's going on. And if the player is playing the Doctor and, like, well, I know what I'm doing, I've already done it 15,000 times, they may, grab the reins, and the companions may have to oh crap, let's try to keep up with this person, which can hinder some of their autonomy, Like, it's great to go with the flow, but you also want the companions to be able to make their own decisions and things. Mm-hmm. So when I'm putting together a table, I usually try to make sure that there's only one, maybe two Time Lords per table, and they have, at least one companion to balance them out a piece, so that it's not just, they need the term the straight man there to balance them out,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the companions we've got, Maeve, played by Kate, is absolutely incredible. She plays Maeve as this intrepid reporter from 1890, and
Good era.
anytime I need them to like grab onto the plot with their teeth and not let go like a freaking terrier, I can either just say, okay, well, here's the story of the week, or tell them not, or tell them have to do it, or tell them they, under no circumstances, they cannot do it.
Right.
Because reverse psychology is a wonderful tool for the right players.
Oh god.
But yeah.
Yeah, telling them they can't do something will drive them to try to do it so much harder.
For sure.
Every time.
Yeah, it's wonderful stuff. It's wonderful stuff. But yeah, putting a table together of like 3 to 4 with 1 or 2 Time Lords in the mix. So you've got the wacky eccentrics who may or may not try to put on a British accent later, and you know, do the piloting the TARDIS, like actually getting you from point A to point X, skipping B through W. Time travel jokes. But the companions I've found personally are usually the ones that like grab onto another NPC, someone to talk to and connect with somewhere in that game's setting. And they're off to the races from there, whether it's like a tour guide or someone that works for the mayor or a mascot at a theme park, a robot at a theme park. Like give them 5 minutes to talk, and they'll have given you all the plot prompts you need to coax them in the direction you want them to go.
Definitely.
All right. So what the companions seem to do is like they serve as the rock that holds this campaign together, essentially.
Yeah. The companions are the beating hearts of the story, while they keep the Time Lord on a swivel so he doesn't get too distracted by the sci-fi problem of the day or things like that. And one of the things I've really enjoyed is one of the best things about the Doctor Who system from Cubicle 7. It's now in its 2nd edition, and they've also brought out Doctors and Daleks, which is their version of the same game, but with D&D rules for D&D players who don't want to figure out what they can do with 2 to 3 6-sided dice instead of, well, I want to use all of the dice. Right. But one of the best things about it is it identifies what their drives are. What does this character want? And once I know what their driving goal is, I can use that as a carrot or stick sometimes to gauge their interest, to help drive them along. And when they actually do the thing, when the character pulls off the feat that they thought might or might not be possible, the looks on their faces, like we've had tears of joy this season, I shit you not, that came completely out of organic roleplay and characters following their goals to their, I won't say natural, but their eventual conclusion, has been really, really freaking satisfying.
Man, that's always the hope of a DM, to evoke those natural reactions.
Absolutely. Like moving into the campaign that we're going to be running up soon, I'm going to be running a One Piece campaign, and the main thing that I've required from every one of the players is you have to have a dream. Your character has to have something like a big goal, something that they absolutely want to achieve. So like, while in your typical tabletop game, like maybe a player has a dream, maybe they don't. Nope. You got to have something that you want. And I want the entire campaign to be very player driven. And what says player driven? Like dreams and things that they want to aspire to.
Absolutely. Or nightmares to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a very cool point. For example, I'll give you some of mine. So I'm going to be playing a fish man who is a chef, merchant, So he wants to use his skills and craft to create masterworks of bladesmithing create unique weapons for those special to him, become rich and world renowned in his trade, like that paper, discover, combat, and consume. He do be liking to eat. Create delicious food out of the supposedly disgusting devil fruits and creatures of the world.
Hopefully nothing pescatarian.
Yeah.
If he's a fish man.
Open to all avenues.
It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. And kind of like the Doctor Who thing, the crew does have a captain, and I've given that role to the most headstrong of our players, the one that's more willing to just like, okay, I'm ready, let's start a fight. Like, okay, this is going to be
It's also
a crazy
probably
time.
the biggest One Piece fan outside of Orion here in the group.
Nice.
It certainly works.
Very excited.
I'm happy to hear that. So,
Wonderful.
Sam, what do we have for our monster this week?
Oh, so to keep the theme with the whole Doctor Who thing, I figured why not talk about one of the most iconic monsters of this world, right? The Weeping Angels.
They are a classic.
They really are. They're utterly horrifying. The Weeping Angels first showed up in Blink, a Dr. Light episode, meaning he was only in it for about 5 minutes. And you've got stone statues that are covering their faces anytime you're looking at them, because while they're being observed, they are trapped in stone. And when you're not looking at them, if you blink, that's when they get you. And we were talking about that thing of like, oh, well, that's innocuous. That's harmless. That's just a statue. It's fine. And then Blink came out, and no one who's seen Doctor Who ever looked at a statue the same way again. Like,
no, for sure. That terrified a generation, right? Like, instilled so much into this culture.
It still does.
I have a few examples that kind of branch off of this idea to talk about. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Like you said, it was in the Blink episode, and I have a quote here from that. Don't blink. Don't even blink. Blinking, you're dead. They are fast, faster than you can believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away, and don't blink. Good luck.
Good luck. The Weeping Angels as a tabletop monster is still horrifying.
I can imagine. Yeah.
The core books have gone out of their way to make sure that everything they can do in the show is a mechanic in the game. And one of the scariest things they can do, just how fast they are, equates out that, in every turn, you can move, you can fight, you can talk, or you can do something, and you've got time to do maybe one of those things. You've got one action per action round, basically, if this were in D&D. Weeping Angels have 4.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So they can move, attack, move, attack, or any combination thereof. And they are just faster than anything. And like the mechanic of having our players roll awareness rolls to see if they blink or not, and using their own narration against them, because I'm a big fan of collaborative storytelling. Like, I set the scene and then you tell me what your characters are doing. And one of my favorite mods to run for people, not usually the first one because it's a lot harder than some of them, takes place on an art gallery on a spaceship out in the middle of the galaxy. That is about to head under an ultraviolet star in about an hour. You're going to schmooze. You can dress up. There's going to be fancy people there. There's going to be art. There's going to be, performance dancing and things like that. And then about 2 hours into the events, that's when the Weeping Angels make themselves present. And they can move that fast, and they can grab people and then make them vanish by sending them back in time.
Well, hold on, wait. Don't give too much away. I'm going to go into their abilities later. I didn't want to stop you, but I was like, oh, he's cooking.
Cooking. Apologies. It is hard to stop once you get going.
Oh, man. Oh, that was good. I love this. They're so cool, and I'm glad you're excited for this. So I have another quote here from, I believe this is from one of the episodes the doctor was describing.
Mhm.
The lonely assassins, they used to be called. No one quite knows where they came from, but they're as old as the universe, or very nearly. And they have survived this long because they have the most perfect defense system ever evolved. They are quantum locked. They don't exist when they're being observed. The moment they are seen by any living creature, they freeze into rock. Fucking spider. Sorry. No choice. It's a fact in their biology. In the sight of any living thing, they literally turn to stone. You can't kill a
Mm.
stone. Of course, a stone can't kill you either. But then you turn your head away, then you blink, and oh, yes, it can.
Oh, yes, it can. I believe that's also a quote from their first appearance.
Yeah, I believe so.
But oh my god. Yeah, because these things are made of stone whenever you look at them, and unless you've got a jackhammer handy, you're out of luck. This is one of those occasions where the objective is not to kill the creature. The objective is to survive the creature and
Yeah.
creatively trap it
And if you
somewhere that it
can,
can no longer try and kill you.
and this is something where, like, if you don't figure it out, like how it
Mhm.
works fast enough, you're done. Like,
Mhm.
I have
Absolutely.
a little bit of talk about like what they are too. So like you said, they're an ancient race that are described by the doctor as the deadliest, most powerful, most malevolent life form evolution has ever produced, as they can sometimes kill without a thought. However, the weeping angels generally prefer to send a victim back in time before they were born to feed on the temporal energy that represents the life that person would have lived through. As a reflex defense mechanism, though it renders them unable to socialize with each other, weeping angels revert to stone statues when looked at by another being, including themselves. For this reason, they are often seen as covering their eyes with their hands, giving the impression that they are weeping, when in fact this is done to prevent them from looking at each other and turning to stone. Once their target's gaze is off them, the weeping angels can move upon them in less than seconds. Even in the image of weeping angel can take a life of its own. That's really interesting though, because now I'm thinking about it. If they're covering their faces, right?
Mhm.
They have to have some other sensory, right? To know
Mhm.
they're not being observed.
Mhm.
I guess
Well,
they would
that's where
feel it, right?
the
I guess they
quantum
would.
locking comes into play.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess
Because like
they would
yeah.
feel the difference in their bodies, right?
Yeah, because they exist as quantum beings fundamentally.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
Mhm.
when they are observed, their entire their body, their particles are
Yeah.
once observed assume a static shape. So their
Lock.
their natural state is being amorphous. So like
Mm-hmm.
you can it's impossible to actually see their true form in
Yeah.
fundamentally.
Well, I guess
Essentially,
unless
yeah.
you're, yeah. Because even if you're observing from a distance, they can't move, right? So it's like,
Mm-mm.
yeah, that's interesting.
Of course, if you see one at a distance, then you're in a new kind of trouble
Yeah.
because how long is it going to be before you blink or turn
Mm-hmm.
to run away or
Right.
get
Slowly
dust in your eye, things like
back
that?
up.
We had our Time Lord, the
Awful.
Fixer, was in one of the darkened hallways of
Mhm.
this gallery. The episode is called Gallery of Fear. Mwah.
Mm.
Um, and at this point, angels are down the hall and terrorizing the hoity-toity fancy rich people that were also on the ship,
Right.
because having people to save, having people to rescue other than just the players adds
Mm-hmm.
to the
Yeah,
stakes,
like a
adds to
hostage
the
situation.
terror. And when you're mixing in sound and have just screaming in the background
Love
replace
that.
the classical music of the gallery, and just back in
There's
the
a
Avox in
record
the background, it's
scratch.
just nice. But at one point, the Fixer talks about, he turns
Uh,
to Dora and says, so and so about the angels. And I was like, you turn to
mm.
her to say this?
Uh-huh.
Okay, lose one story point. The is behind you. And he's like, wait a minute. But I was telling her, is like, okay, Dora, roll. Did you blink? Did he break your line of sight by
Mm-hmm.
turning to talk to you? Turns out he did. So the
Oof.
angel got its grips on someone else. What you mentioned, though, Sam, about how even
Mm.
the image of an angel can kill,
Yeah.
since it was in an art gallery, we had the idea of I don't know if you ever saw season 2 of Lost, but there was this wonderful scene in the underground hatch where UV lights went on, black lights went on, and all of a sudden they were surrounded by maps and warnings and all sorts of weird cryptic stuff that they didn't really have time to explore. But it introduced me to the idea of paint that is only visible under a black light. So we put angels on these paintings that were only visible when they'd reached the ultraviolet star that they were flying under.
That's
so
brilliant.
An hour after, they were like, okay, we've only got like the one stone angel here to deal with. That's the good news. And that's when they hear the screaming over their shoulders. Why are they screaming in that hall and that hall? And they turn, and awful. Angels are reaching out of the paintings. And at this point, they're just made of paint. They're completely two-dimensional. And if they get their hands on someone, that's when they become more real. Well, they grab you and they eat your vitality to build their own. You know,
that's awful.
They're hungry.
That's horrifying.
Oh, absolutely, it really is. There is a great The Angels Take Manhattan, 11th Doctor. It's a River Song episode with Amy and Rory. It's a heartbreaker. You should absolutely check it out. But at one point, River Song, one of the most intrepid badasses to ever, travel time and space, gets caught by a weeping angel and has to break her own wrist to break free. I turned that into a mechanic of the game where because it's not as fun if the angels are immediately trying to kill you. They want to play with their food first. They want you to know just how much trouble you're in. So a character could sacrifice a coordination point for the rest of the game and break their own hand or break their own wrist to get free of the grip. And like, great, okay, you're free. Now you have less coordination than you did before. And that's going to be that way until the rest of the game or the rest of the mod. Sacrifice, getting their hooks in you.
Yeah, that's a great mechanic
thing I have
there.
here is I wonder if you've heard about this, the audio drama Fallen Angels, where 3 weeping angels were trapped inside Earth during its formation and were eventually discovered during the Renaissance inside Marvel.
Yes, was that a 5th Doctor story?
I believe it was something like that from what I was reading. Believing it was a miracle, a group of priests and believers formed the Order of the 3 Angels, commissioned Michelangelo to release the angels. And the angels were defeated by the 5th Doctor and locked under the catacombs of the Sistine Chapel.
Oh, I adore Big Finish. Big Finish,
the
audio company, they were basically the torchbearers in the canceled years between the end of the 7th Doctor's turn and the 8th Doctor's made-for-TV Fox movie, and the less said about that, the better. But they hired the actors from the original series, the producers from the original series, writers, composers, and basically just did audio versions of their own episodes, about an hour long or a half hour long, depending on which season they were in. And they were a huge inspiration for me because I ate up Big Finish and wanted to do an audio drama style thing of Who, and Anywhere But Now is my answer to that. We use music, we've got sound effects, we've got stakes, and a good cliffhanger. Like I adore a good cliffhanger. Like a game needs to end on a solid, oh crap, what do we do now? And that's where we're going to pick it up tomorrow or next week.
Sure.
Sweet I'm taking notes right here. Cliffhanger.
So I've been a pretty big fan of the SCP community for a pretty long time.
Tell us more.
Yeah. And my introduction, I guess, to what the Weeping Angels were something kind of similar. SCP-173, dubbed the Sculpture. Sorry. Very, relatable to a Weeping Angel. It was often called the Neckbreaker 9000 or Peanut. So SCP-173 is a 2 meters tall, 6 foot concrete statue with bizarre markings that kills all living things on sight, moving towards its victim at a speed of several feet in one blink of an eye, and snapping their necks with irresistible strength and lethal precision. In
Mhm.
addition, it's completely invincible. It also periodically produces feces and blood onto the ground of its containment cell, which must be cleaned up from time to time. So SCP-173 cannot move as long as someone is looking at it through eye contact, similar to
Mm.
the Weeping Angels. Thus, a victim has a chance of escaping from the anomaly by keeping their eyes focused on it. Obviously, same kind of deal. The best shot, given at how fast it moves, is that a person blinks, takes a chance, somehow glitch walk. So, which is, I guess no one is able to see it, run or really move. It's just there.
Mhm.
So
I
towards the
can see where the
person.
inspiration came from.
Right. So
Yeah.
this idea doesn't have the same time fuckery. It is the general idea of the statue will kill you if you look away.
I do love time fuckery
And
though.
what
I
gets
really
me,
do.
I don't know what the reproduction of Weeping Angels is like, but 173 is a little interesting in that. Give me 1 second to get it here. So I believe they are, if left alone long enough, being unobserved, they will begin to multiply and sort of replicate themselves. And they have to be, observed so that they're not allowed to do this. But it has been known to happen.
Mhm.
Mm.
And they
It's
just
horrifying.
I
suddenly
be-
there's a ton of
yeah.
them. And the
I
world is
believe
ended.
that for Weeping Angels, their reproduction is done through a form of quantum entanglement, where
Mhm.
an object that holds the image of a Weeping Angel will become a Weeping Angel.
Mm.
There was even a episode where one of the companions in the show had a Weeping Angel reflected in her eye, and that became like a whole thing inside her head as
Mhm.
it was trying to take over, and it's just like, okay,
Mhm.
so staring at them is how you keep them from moving and shit, but
Mm.
staring at them also means that you have the chance of their reflections being within your
Mhm.
eyes, and it's like, okay, so that's a problem.
Mhm. And the
It's the
last
eye
thing.
contact aspect of it, I
Mhm.
think that was the real mind screw for
Mhm.
Amy, which was actually the first episodes that Matt Smith shot. They shot that episode before
Mhm.
they shot his regeneration episode at the start of the season.
Mhm.
Wow.
But yes, if a person gets a quote unquote angel in their mind, without the doctor around, it is
Mhm.
only a matter of time before that person becomes a weeping angel themselves. And that's actually
Interesting.
how the angel gets on the gallery ship in the first place. It gets
Interesting.
itself implanted in the right person's mind, and then it bides its time. And the character starts
Mm.
to sleepwalk and touch up paintings in the middle of the night and draw
Yep.
invisible angels on the paintings and things like that, knowing that they're going to be traveling under an ultraviolet star later. Like they
Mm.
set themselves up for success. It's
They're
just
like a sleeper
insidious.
agent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And I went ahead and I got a list of their abilities, just to kind of sum it up as like the final thing. What can these boys actually do, right? So we got the quantum lock, we got the 9 vulnerability. I imagine in stone form that can't be broken, can't be destroyed, right? That's what I would imagine, stuff like that. Remote time travel, time energy absorption, self replication. I'm curious to what degree or to what uh, circumstances, what that would require. Maybe it's like on kill or like after a certain amount of time. I don't know. See the possession that you were kind of talking about, implanting,
Mhm.
stuff into the mind. You got the speed, electrokinesis is interesting. Yeah. Night
Oh,
vision, supernatural
yeah.
stealth, strength, proxy communication, and consciousness manipulation.
Yeah,
Hmm.
no, they're horrifying. One of the scariest things they can do is just point at the light that is keeping them illuminated, and then it starts to flicker, and
Ah,
then you're in
I
trouble.
see.
They've been doing that since their first
That's awful.
episode, so naturally, I felt the need for them to be able to do it here as
Mm.
well. And in one of their secondary appearances, it was added that they also eat radiation, When they're not
Oh.
eating people's lifetimes, they can also just soak up radiation of certain
makes
kinds
sense.
from like a ship's warp drive and things like that.
Right.
So every time the characters think they have a grip on things, think they know, like, okay, well, we've just got the Stone Angel to deal with. That's when people start screaming in the halls. Okay, we're dealing with the Paint Angels. Where is the Stone Angel now? And that's when the lights start to dim because the angel has gone down to the reactor room and is now just eating the energy coming off of the reactor.
Right.
And then they have to go down to the reactor room and
that's awful.
it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. The real son of a bitch, though, is when they get the whole first half of the episode, half of the game, walking around the museum and taking the tour and like, oh, things bend this way and there's a loop and so forth. There are so many blocks to line of sight here and there and over there that they have to be conscious at all times,
looking around
where
everything,
the angel is,
like,
so that someone in the group is keeping an eye on it and like, roll an awareness roll.
Jesus.
Do you blink? Odds or evens? And they still did it. They still pulled it off.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, it's not as impressive, I think, to just create an invincible monster that will eat your soul. You know, you have to give the heroes legitimate ways of thwarting them. You know, it's not just a done deal. If you're smart enough, if you're resourceful enough, if you're quick enough, and the math rocks agree with you, you can actually make it out in one piece. And I am delighted to say that the teams I've run Gallery of Fear for have all made it. No one has ever like lost their character on one of those games. Came close, but no one's actually, failed to make it through. Thank goodness.
But yeah, that's all I have for Weeping Angels and SCP-173. I think it's really cool. Great topic. I love just this whole thing.
All right,
they're horrifying.
I love shit like this. We don't need a fight score. No.
Could you survive one though? I'd say if you have a good team, you might be able to make it out alive.
In a 1v1, nah.
Yeah, 1v1, no.
In a 1v1, you're screwed.
Nah, no chance.
You're absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
Now you'd have to have a good team.
Well, any good game of Doctor Who or episode of the show sets up that the villain's downfall is baked into the plot. Whether it's, their seat of power will also be their undoing, or their doomsday weapon gets turned on them, or third thing, like with the Weeping Angels, usually it's some kind of a trap scenario of like, we're trapped in here with them. The trick is, no, they're trapped in here with us. How do we get smart about this? So that you don't have to pull answers and solutions out of complete thin air. You just have to be smart and be paying attention and get creative.
This is a great, example of like creating creative problems for your players, right? Like you can't just fight everything out. You gotta actually think about it.
I can just hear the DMs out there frantically taking notes. Like, instead of having them deal with your typical D&D puzzle, the monster is the puzzle.
Right.
Pretty much. Yes, exactly.
Or the monster, like I often have things where like, if you guys are fighting something that does stuff with the ground, there's a chance he's causing a cave in or something, like, or it's gonna try to bury y'all.
Absolutely.
And that's a situation in itself.
I love that kind of stuff.
I used to think I did not care much for fighting combat scenes in games. I had not experienced good fight scenes in games to really grab me. Very recently, I've kind of avoided because, like outside of actual play, intrigue, problem solving. It's about that thing that's trying to kill you. With the show and the game, violent talk turning oppressed masses of their oppressor, their device. Like part of setting up one of those, okay, here is what they're up against. Can this be turned against?
Right.
Them have to have at least some understanding of how that can play out, so that when the players completely ignore all that and use things that like, well, what about this? And that second thing, like, yeah, sure, that'll work. Go for it.
Right.
That works with the established rules of blah blah. Absolutely. There was an episode we did called Troubled Waters, which takes place on a science center in a water world involving gelatinous jellyfish, as shape-shifting jellyfish, the Rutons, as the baddies of the day. And I had gone to the trouble of coming up with like a handful of different things the heroes could have used to turn the tide, and they did not use any of them. They came up with their own solutions that still used the rules of the story and got them to turn tail. Well, they didn't have tails, but they're, jellyfish. Turn
tentacle,
squibble, run. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch unfold.
That's awesome.
It was just beautiful.
That's one of my favorite parts of tabletops in general. Just being able to see players be like, okay, new idea. We're going to make this work, and it's like, I didn't expect that from you guys. That's amazing. Yes, here we go.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever done any improv, Orion or Sam?
Not even like go to a thing and yes and all that stuff. No, not actually.
That's what I was going to mention, the yes and.
Right.
I have a theater background, and I've been on a couple of improv teams over the years. And yes and, when someone gives you an idea or gives you a prompt, instead of saying, no, that doesn't work for the following reasons, your job is to say, yes, and furthermore, blah, 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 like adding on to what you've been given instead of trying to make it your own or steal the spotlight. It's collaborative. It's, yes, I agree with that, and we're making it bigger. Yes, and it's this, and it's even fancier. Yes, and it's this, and it's even more. And with running a game, yes anding, especially with Doctor Who, where the solution is seldom a violent one, like listening to what the players give me. One of our characters got into the habit of job interviews on any planet they landed on. And the first time they did it, it was with a hoverbot, basically just the torso and the head of this thing in a theme park. And I was like, yes, you can get a job interview, and we can do it right now. We're going to do this right away. A hoverbot drops down and is like, how can I help you today? And has the interview process and so forth. And now Calamity, played by Dora, has a mop and a jumpsuit and janitorial work to do, and she also gets a key card that will unlock almost anything they come across, because the janitor has to be able to get in to clean stuff. True. So she got a plot coupon right in the bat, and it's just yes-anding all the way.
Yeah, I absolutely love that kind of stuff. Like, I like to think of myself as not exactly the yes and DM, but more of a yes and yes but. Because I don't like to give flat no's. Like, I want to work with players. Like, okay, sure, that's a thing. Absolutely. But there's a caveat.
You bring up a great system with the Doctor Who rules, because depending on how you roll, since it's all 2d6s, if you roll and get a 6 on one of the dice, you get a yes and. Like, yes, you did the thing you're trying to do, and you also get this bonus. Right. And if you get a 1 on one of those dice and you succeed, it's a yes, but it doesn't quite go the way you want. Like, yes, you have hacked the computers, but someone now knows you're here. Or,
yeah, I mean, this is effectively how, ability checks work. When people are like, oh, I got a nat 20, it's a yes, and you got a nat 1, that's a yes, but, or I guess that would be a no, but yeah, but it's kind of the same idea.
I like to think of the checks where you're like barely meeting, or like maybe 1 or 2 points below as your yes, but and that's like if you're trying to be a little bit generous as a DM, like you're gonna give it to them, but there's a catch.
Right. It's not gonna be what you were expecting.
It's a great caveat of like, yes, you have managed to do this, but you have burned your hand on the console, which has been on fire for the last 2 minutes and will be down a coordination point for the next hour. And we start a timer so that an hour later is like, okay, you've put on some topical cream. Congratulations, you have your coordination point back.
Right.
You know? Things like that. We actually added our own house rule. I love a good house rule. Where so double sixes, boxcars is the best possible outcome. And snake eyes, the double ones, is the worst possible outcome. Someone tries to jump over something, they fall, sprain an ankle or break it, and shout loudly so that everyone chasing you now knows exactly where you are. Right. I'm a big believer that low rolls can lead to high adventure. You know, just because you failed doesn't mean it doesn't move the story forward.
Oh, absolutely.
But there are also some things in the game that are just extraordinarily hard to pull off. So to give the players an extra chance to make that happen, we also decided that double threes were the averagest average to ever average. Of like, you know, setting up that antenna thing to call for help, you roll double threes. You set up the thing to call for help.
You did it.
Congratulations. With no bonuses or consequences whatsoever. It could have gone better. It could have gone a lot worse. Adequate.
Distinctly mediocre.
This is a great transition too. Speaking of mediocre and adequate, don't we have some news for this week?
We do. This is TNM bringing you Nerd News.
Nerd news.
Yes, so we do have some nerd news this week. One of the brief little bits that we got going on is, have y'all heard of the 2023 Tabletop Awards? Honestly, it'd be more
the Tablies.
The Tablies. We gotta vote for them to just change that to the Tablies. I feel like the Tablies would really work. They have like a die mascot.
Worst mascot
what is
ever.
The Tabletop Award? Like D&D and Pathfinder and stuff?
Honestly, D&D and Pathfinder don't even make the announcement list.
Really? Interesting. So, what are we looking at for the nominees and stuff?
Okay, so there's a few categories: best board game, best role-playing game, and let's see here, best ongoing card game, which and best art. So that's a thing. Designer of the year, and publisher of the year, Rising Star designer, Rising Star publisher. But thanks to the OGL at the start of the year, tons of people were just kind of like all throwing their hats into the ring, like, yeah, we're going to take over. We're going to do our thing.
Now's our chance.
Yeah, let Wizards burn it all down. We're going to build something new. And this year's Tabletop Awards are a major reflection of that.
Viva la revolution, right?
So there are a few creators that have really done really well for the Rising Star Publisher category. Like the finalists are Birdwood Games, Crossed Path Press, Hegemonic Project Games, Hot Banana Games, Metis Creative, Prismatic Wasteland, and The Wanderer's Tome. I've heard of a few of these guys. So
these are all cool names.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Those are excellent names.
Absolutely. Then like Publisher of the Year, they got 9th Level Games, Good Luck Press, Osprey Games, Restoration, Snowbright Studio. Like, I'm not seeing any Paizo, any Wizards, like none of the stuff that I'm used to seeing that's super mainstream anywhere on this list. The only mainstream stuff I'm seeing on the list is under ongoing card games, where we got Magic, Pokemon, and then like Disney's Lorcana is on the list because people are, it's heavily based on Magic. So if you want a card game that's like MTG but Disney, there you go.
Is Digimon on that list? For the card games?
Not for the finalists, no.
That makes sense. They are fairly new, I guess. Compared to Pokemon and stuff, they're...
Lorcana came out this year, though. I think.
Okay, then they're just getting dogged on, I guess.
That's what I'm saying.
People love Disney, though. They'll eat that up anyway.
Always. But some of the best role-playing
Nostalgia
games
is a
of the
powerful drug.
year. It really is. But Blade Runner is right up there on the finalist list for the best role-playing games.
Oh, wow.
This Discord has ghosts in it. Never heard of that.
It's a good name.
I like the name. But you're gonna love this one even more. Women are werewolves. I fucking knew it.
The truth comes out.
Fox Curio's floating bookshop. Okay. Animom
cool.
story. Okay. Barkeep on the Borderlands. There's some interesting names on here, and if anyone's looking to check out the winners for all the child, can you not when I'm doing a podcast?
Everybody's got a pet.
It's a kid.
Apologies.
Close enough.
I'm trying to keep my cat Hastings out of too much mischief. I apologize.
I feel that.
Oh,
And then let's see what else we got here. So, speaking of tabletops, Wizards has released their final playtest for the year before they go into their new 2024 1 D&D 5.5, whatever the new D&D is.
oh boy.
Here it comes. Final playtest. They reverted the changes on some of their.
Now is our chance
stuff.
to tell them what we want, right? Like,
Yeah, everybody
final-
check it out. let them know.
Let your voice be heard.
Honest opinions. We don't need straight trash talk. We got to be constructive for our hobby here. Even if Wizards has been shooting themselves in the foot with every bullet in the chamber, like emptying mags on themselves, like
Just mag dump.
this foot isn't butchered enough.
Oh my god.
But
That's
yeah,
okay.
some of the stuff that you can find in their what they've put together here for the final playtest is changes to barbarians, druids, and monks, along with some alterations to spellcasting and grappling rules, and some epic.
We needed more grappling rules,
honestly, and the removal of some of their epic boon feats, which is like, oh, what's wrong with epic boons? If you manage to get to level 20, honestly, as a DM, I'll give you anything at this point.
The game, like, how much further are we going? Like, let's.
You want to go to level 25? Oh, okay, sure. Have a feat, sir. Like, so some of the they've made some little changes, like the barbarians brutal strike is replacing brutal critical, and they're doing some stuff to change advantage and increase damage. Short rest now grant them regained uses of rage, and persistent rage at level 15 restores all uses during a long rest.
Nice.
And keeping rage until unconsciousness. Okay, so some minor changes there.
If rage lasts longer than 4 hours, contact your healer immediately.
Oh man.
Yes.
Too many blue pills, man.
Honestly. Okay, now that's a character idea right there. They went back on the Druid's wild shape, going. So it's like, okay, so there was a lot of negative reception on the previous iteration of Druid.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people didn't like
want
that.
Their owlbears.
They want their
owlbear. Turn into an owlbear, damn it!
I want owlbear, and I need it now. So, yeah, some changes to various subclasses for Druid. So if anyone's like planning on playing the new Druid, check that out. Make your voices heard. Then finally, monks. They got some substantial changes to expand tactical options, so they can use their bonus action for attacks without dedicating their main action. Similar to rogue actions, Stunning Strike will deal minimal force damage on even successful saving throws. So it's like kind of changing how it impacts a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, the
Nice.
revisions seem to aim to address the mechanical issues and underperformance of how these classes have been.
Makes sense. I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. Sam, you're familiar with The Witcher and Cyberpunk.
A little bit. Very little.
I'd imagine a lot of people are. So the one of the Cody Pondsmith, he's worked on projects with that kind of stuff before. Big name in the industry for those things. He's working on a new system called the Mosaic system that's kind of inspired by Cyberpunk, The Witcher, Naruto, and interdimensional travel. So a tabletop that's kind of like combines all of that into like a small like into like just one thing. So
Okay.
interdimensional ninjas.
They got my attention.
Okay, like so Pondsmith's emphasizes the unique system's role in shaping the game's distinct feel, moving away from crunchiness towards quicker, more accessible experience. The RPG integrates influences from like Japanese mythology, 1920s America, steampunk Europe,
Nice.
and an alternative 2030s history. So it's like
Cool.
got like these four
2030s
settings.
history that hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
Alternate reality history.
I guess so. Alternate reality history that creates a new future history, like
Yeah,
ambitious
new
stuff, I guess. Yeah, but they're drawing a lot of inspiration from anime such as Demon Slayer, Naruto, Cowboy Bebop, and
Nice.
infusing those elements all into like a weird strategic puzzle solving approach akin to Tenchu games, focusing more on stealth than direct combat.
Okay.
So rather than just be more combat focused, they want things to, kind of play out a little bit more. And it even says they're also
Smart.
taking like a lot of says that they are taking a lot of inspiration from Stargate too. So it's like, okay, so big Stargate buffs up in the design team.
All right.
Cool.
It sounds like a clusterfuck, but a glorious one.
I would be very interested to see where this goes, or how it works and what they work with.
It sounds ambitious, and I like the idea. I don't think that I can possibly explain this entire thing and do it enough justice, because there's a lot going on here. I don't know if I can possibly unpack all of that.
Interdimensional ninjas in a system that more so focuses on stealth than physical combat. Okay. All right. In a future-ish steampunky aesthetic.
From what I was reading, it has like these different dimension settings. So one has like a more of a kind of traditional Japanese and a lot of yokai,
right.
and so you'll get to see all these cool yokai and oni in it, and that's just awesome. Like, do you want to deal with Japanese yokai? Because some of those things are crazy.
And this makes me think of like what kind of animes can you adapt into like a D&D situation? Like, can you make like a Jujutsu Kaisen D&D game? Like,
I mean, with this,
cool.
that doesn't seem unreasonable. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen's more like a very powerhouse hero fantasy, but maybe.
Who doesn't love power fantasies, right? Like,
absolutely. And
as long as we use that power for
or like a Chainsaw Man, like D&D?
That sounds like that'd be I think Chainsaw Man might work good with a system like GURPS.
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
So, Chainsaw Man, what do you do on your turn?
Rev it up.
I'm firing my engines. Quick, get me that 2-stroke oil. It's great. The last little bit of news, there was a bit of a backfire on let's see, Goodman Games for doing their Indie RPG Creator Summit this year.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter this past week. Is like,
Twitter has been hot about this topic.
Apparently, they're going to be having guys like Bob Worldbuilder at their Creator Summit. They got like 57 people?
Yeah, it's a ton of people, right? Like,
yeah, that's a lot. Mainly the thing that they are under fire for is when they did their promo ad on Twitter. The main criticism is bunch of white guys, and
yeah,
like I looked through the comments and it was just a wall of comments, and all of them basically being the same. Like, too many white people. Can you not find any women? Can you not get any people of color? And it's like, I just kind of like looked to my left, looked to my right, like, you guys do know that you're talking about tabletop games. Like, the guys on this panel all look like they're in their 40s and 50s. Like,
yeah, I mean, and from what I understand, it's not like there's not, people of color in the summit. People were just upset that the 6 or 7 pictures they put up, none of them happened to be one of them. Like,
well, how are you supposed to feel represented if you're not represented?
I can get that, but I mean, at the same time, like, that's such a small, like, it's just a picture.
It is a relatively small thing to latch onto as the haters start to circle.
Right.
But like, even I noticed as a white, presenting dude in their 40s, it's like they couldn't, like, have they heard diversity? Did they know that's a word that can be used?
It does look a little out because they got a bunch of like dudes in their 40s, 50s. They all got like white beards and stuff. Like,
yeah.
And like, to me, when they're like, this is a creator summit, I'm like, all right, this is about what you'd expect, I guess. Like, it would have been nice to be like, oh, look, a black woman or whatever. But like, it's not like they're not gonna be there, right? Or you can't find their images, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like, because I mean, there's the chance that like they didn't even make like the image, right? They could have just put it in the AI, like grab some names or something, like, or the most influential guests or whatever.
I don't know, like maybe like I try to assume like the best in people. Like, I like to not assume that everyone's being malicious in any given situation, because we already have like too much of that going on in the world. You know what I mean? And it's just
but like, you don't need malice to create an oversight that makes some people
it is a little out of touch
and overlooked.
Fair enough.
It wouldn't have taken much for them to be like, oh, sorry, do a new one or whatever.
Oh yeah, they did issue an apology. I was looking at that today.
Oh yeah, that's good at least.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, after getting a wall, like, just like, dude, absolute, just like nothing but backlash, and it's just like, oh, I feel so bad for these guys, because I just imagine that just someone's just like, okay, who are the most influential people on the list? Okay, these are the names. Okay, boom, copy paste. Good, go.
Like, that's usually what they do for events like that. They have like the what are they called? Like the special guest speakers or whatever.
Yeah,
special guest speakers. Sounds
yeah, like those were the presenters. I don't know because I'm not there, but my biggest criticism of the people in the comment section is like, okay, well, clearly y'all feel like you're not represented, and that's valid, but how many people here are leaving any suggestions for who should be who should be in this? Tell me, because like I want to promote all the creators, I want to promote
that's definitely
these
true,
creators.
because then it becomes a situation of like, do they just want anyone like of like minority or person of color or whatever? Does it matter who they put up there? Do they just want to see like?
It would make a difference if it felt like they made an effort.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
that's just my impression. Take it with a grain of salt.
Definitely.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna do a new image, or it's like we already know what's going on.
Honestly, if anyone's running PR over there, they're probably just like, bury the shit now. Burn it. Get it out of here.
They like made
This never happened.
They like put it up at like 10 in the morning. Like, all right, fine. That's out the way. They go to lunch. Come back. Oh God. Office is on fire.
Damn.
Oh, man.
Like, oh shit. My bad. I moved a thing and then it blocked us out.
Oh no.
What have you done?
Unspeakable evil. That is what I have done, Sam.
All right. Guess we're moving into our final segments here. You ready to bring up the
Lots of fun!
Welcome to the generic realm where we promote small content creators, segue people.
Creators much bigger than us.
Now, I will give fair warning. I actually don't know the ethnicity or gender of any of the creators we find. Most of these are just people on Reddit, so don't cancel me over that one.
Oh no, we've only been talking about the white men.
I don't know. I see username. It's like, okay.
All right.
Well, Scrim Bimbus didn't tell me his gender. Or am I assuming too much?
Scrim Bimbus.
Scrim Bimbus is a fantastic name, by the way. Scrim Bimbus.
He didn't make that up, I promise.
All right. Why don't you start us off, Sam?
Oh, yeah, I can do it. So today I would like to present the Gluttonous Guillotine, created by Sin Lair. That is what I found under their Patreon. You can go ahead and check them out, guys. Seems like they make some pretty cool stuff.
Love the name too. Gluttonous Guillotine has a wonderful ring to it.
This is a really cool. I saw this and I was like, oh.
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm pulling it up right here on the side for people to look at. And it's just like, oh, there's a lot here.
So when I first saw this kind of immediately made me think of if you've ever seen God Eater, they have the big weapons that are like made with the monsters that they fight with them, and they're able to like turn into giant like mouths and bite into things. It was really cool. So this kind of made me think of just the way the blade has mouths and eyes. So the giant cleaver is made from one of the broken weapons found on the body of Fragile, the immortal juggernaut. These weapons that have been bathed and stained by Fragile's blood are permanently imbued by the wretched energy, which manifests as various curses. After heroes from Rastana theocracy successfully slain the juggernaut and scattered its body to different corners of the world, these cursed weapons were supposed to be destroyed. Unfortunately, some greedy acolytes managed to steal and sell them to the black market, as they do. One of them is made into this gluttonous guillotine. This sword has been permanently merged with a small lump of Fragile's flesh that can still grow indefinitely, turning the sword into a gigantic blade with multiple gaping maws. All right. So this is a great sword, very rare, requires attunement. When not in use, the gluttonous guillotine appears like a giant cleaver with a clump of flesh on its tip. It will stay in its dormant form until you kill a creature with flesh and blood. All right. Wow. Into the first ability here, we got Ravenous Growth. When you reduce a hit point of a small or large creature with flesh and blood to 0 using this sword, the blade will open up and a jaw with razor-sharp fangs will grow to consume the creature. The sword will then gain 1 charge. For each charge that the sword has, it gains a +1 bonus to its attack and damage rolls, an additional 1d6 slashing damage, and reduces your movement speed by 5 feet. In addition, for every 2 charges it has, its reach increases by 5 feet as the sword grows in length. When the number of charges exceeds your strength modifier, you have a disadvantage on your attack rolls with this weapon. After 1 hour since the last time a sword gained a charge, the sword will lose all of its charges and return to its dormant form. That's really cool.
That is cool.
Right. And speaking of curses, this weapon has a curse called Predatory. This weapon is cursed, and becoming attuned to it extends the curse to you. As long as you remain cursed, you are unwilling to part with this weapon, keeping it in reach at all times. When under this curse, you will become unable to eat anything other than raw meat from a freshly killed creature. When you see raw meat or a corpse within 30 feet of you at the start of your turn, you must make a DC 17 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, you become overwhelmed by hunger and have to spend your next turn doing everything you can to reach and consume it as fast as possible. During this state, you will consider anything that gets in your way as a hostile enemy.
All right.
That's cool. Power for a trade-off. I like it.
Oh, we could talk about that.
Oh, you sound like you got some ideas, Casey. Let's hear it.
Well, like while we're talking about homebrewed weapons of mass
Yes.
like in Who, one of the Time Lords a weapon like the hand of Omega or Omega if you're an American, because they never wanted to use it. They never wanted to see it again.
Right.
And they the moment was another one they made, a bit of action that tried to talk the user out of it, or at least give them what they were about to do when they actually used it. I couldn't resist. I had to come out. The fixer and his friends had to literally do
What'd you do?
attrition. So, like talking about curses and whatnot, it's impossible to find if you know what you're looking for, because including unimportant scraps of garbage. Getting too close of it set you on fire.
Oh my god.
And, actually getting your hands on it successfully requires mental, have to already be a Time Lord. If a human tries to learn get a psychic readme file of welcome to your very own weapon that can manipulate the forces of friction. You now have a scepter that is roughly 3 and also make you untouchable depending on how you choose to use it, and it runs on story points. But basically, a weapon so powerful, the smartest thing to do would be not to use it.
I do like things
around
like that.
It.
Interesting.
But yeah, I do love a good homebrew tool.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I'm giving this weapon a D20 or a nat 20. I like it a lot. I would both use and give this to a player.
I just like the art here because that looks
art is
sick.
Oh man, and I would love like people add some flavor to it. You know, they start to use it after a while to take on some properties of them or something like that.
Or maybe they use it after a while and they start to take on properties of it.
I mean, already with the ravenous hunger.
No, I mean like some aesthetic, like maybe you flavor it more, you know.
Maybe you get like a bestial eyes or something, like maybe your teeth grow. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's something to lean into. I love that concept.
Right. How about you, Orion? What you got?
Well, I bring to you guys the War Domain Cleric. Now, this has been like a thing before. Like everyone's like, "Oh, hey, why don't we have enough War Domain Clerics in the game?" And
I too have been asked this question.
It's just like there are war gods, but why didn't base D&D have a war domain? Like, come on, Wizards, what you thinking?
I can see it.
And this is pretty straightforward. War has many manifestations. It can make heroes of ordinary people. It can be desperate and horrific, with acts of cruelty and cowardice, eclipsing instances of excellence and courage. In either case, the gods of war watch over warriors and reward them for their great deeds. The clerics of such gods excel in battle, inspiring others to fight the good fight or offering acts of violence as prayers. It's like, ooh,
Okay.
okay,
Can get
Ares.
behind that.
Middle.
And a lot of the domain spells are kind of a no-brainer for a war domain. We got Divine Favor, Wrathful Smite, Branding Smite, Magic Weapon,
Wrathful
Blinding
smite, not just brand name smite.
Oh man.
Then we get Blinding Smite, Crusader's Mantle, Staggering Smite, Stone Skin, Banishing Smite, and Hold Monster. Like,
Ooh.
if you want your paladin flavor in a cleric subclass, here you go, buddy.
This is Kratos in D&D.
Honestly. So we're starting
Yeah,
out
right?
at level 1. You're gonna
Staggering smite.
yeah, we got all the smites. So
Oprah of Smites.
yeah, you get a smite, and you get a smite. Everyone, look under your
You
seats.
get a smite.
Smite.
You've been smoked.
Yes. So at level 1, we're gonna get proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor, as you
Nice.
do, and then we get War Priest. Your god delivers bolts of inspiration to your allies while you lead them into battle. If you deal damage with a spell of first level or higher, an ally can use their action to immediately after the spell make one weapon attack against a creature that took damage.
Oh,
Okay.
God. That's pretty good.
That's pretty aggro, actually. I love it.
Get his ass.
Yep, and then moving on to our channel divinity at second level, you can use your channel divinity to strike with supernatural accuracy. When you or an ally within 30 feet make an attack roll, you can use your channel divinity to gain +5 to the roll.
Okay.
And you make the choice after you see the roll, but before the DM says whether or not the attack hits or misses. If the attack hits, it gains a +5 bonus to the damage roll.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Most impressive.
Then we get pretty basic, but, totally on theme at level 6 with extra attack. I don't think I need to explain to our audience how extra attack works.
You hit more.
No.
Good.
Hit better, hit more. Then, following the theme of divine smites, how about divine strikes?
Ah.
At 8th level, you gain the ability to infuse your weapon strikes with divine energy. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can use your attack to deal an extra d8 of the same damage dealt by the weapon to the target.
I have the idea of this being like a pugilist and just going ham.
I feel that.
Accurate.
Oh man!
When you reach level 14, the extra damage increases to 2d8. Okay, so a little bit of scaling, and then capstone for the subclass at level 17, Avatar of Battle. You gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
You get a Susano, basically.
Hello, Achilles. Nice to meet you.
Oh, dude. This just makes me think of like any Naruto fans out there. You bust out the Susano.
It would be
Avatar.
hilarious. It would be hilarious if that was played like a congratulations. You have all of these immunities and resistances.
Oh yeah, right.
I like it.
Now any hit target you.
I can see that.
Right? And it looks like the homebrew here is, well, they don't have like a Patreon or anything yet, but dude, get yourself a Patreon because I would support this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Reddit user Zenozen. Zenozen? Zenozen!
Shout out to Zenozen.
Oh
yeah.
It's like,
It
oh,
was really cool.
learn to read, Orion. Reddit users, give me readable names.
Reading's hard. English is.
D&D's easy. Reading's hard.
Those damn letters thinking they're better than us.
Let me just
literally assholes.
Oh man. All right.
All right. This is some good homebrew for this week. I genuinely like it. So, Sam, anything you want to kind of leave with our audience, or any words of wisdom, Sam?
As always, we are Dungeons and Talk Shows. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed your holidays. We got Christmas coming up. Thanksgiving just passed. Enjoy time with your family. Casey, thank you for coming. Is there anything you would like to say to the people?
Yeah, plug your stuff. Where can we find you and your podcasts and all this good? This sounds like some amazing content to me.
Thank you. We put a lot of work into it. Anywhere be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much.
Nice.
Sky, we're on Discord, and links to all of them are on our Twitch. And if you desire to have this lovely talk about coming up with solutions to problems that aren't violent, or just want to go ham some D&D, come find me on startplaying.games, and I will be creative violence for you.
Absolutely. And anyone that wants to check them out, please leave a review. Let them know what you think, because that kind of feedback, we find it helpful ourselves, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. And if you
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
If you have any feedback, please, feel free to leave us a rating or a comment or a like or whatever, no pressure. But we hope you learned something. But we are nerds, right? So what do we know?
What do we know?
Nerd must stay.
Nerd must stay. I love that.
Nerd you.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Okay.
And here we go.
Nice.
And let me out of this box.
We are clear. That was great.
Sweet.
Nice.
That was really fun. I had a lot of fun.
Great talks,
Thank
great
you.
topics. That was great. Oh yeah.
Wunderbar.
There.